Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Hey everybody, before you jump into this week's Combat Sports UK podcast, I've got some exciting news for you. Do you want to look as stylish as Thomas Shelby when you train? Do you want to experience the comfort that can only be achieved by a cup of tea on a cold day? Well, good news for you guys. Ex-Martial has partnered with us, Combat Sports UK. They are the fastest growing brand in martial arts for a reason. They are making waves and taking practitioners with their slick, stylish, and hilarious designs that are fit for a king. From rash guards to shorts, streetwear, and more, Ex-Martial has got you covered. Ex-Martial is an extremely community-oriented brand, having given away over $50,000 in free gear last year alone, as well as sponsoring over 300 athletes. And if you shop using the code CSUK10 at checkout, you can get 10% off everything in store. That code again is CSUK10 at checkout. Go and check out xmartial.com.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Combat Sports UK podcast. I'm here with my boy, Patty Dina.
How you doing? How we doing? I'm doing great, you know. Great weekend of fights.
Oh, yeah. Coming off 299, Cedric Doumbé, controversial, Joshua and Ngannou, and I'm still heartbroken about that. But 299, I don't know about you guys, but for me was amazing. I know a lot of people hated it. It wasn't like crazy war fights and like crazy knockouts, but it was, to me, lived up to the hype.
Oh yeah, it lived up to the hype for me, sure.
But we're not here to talk about 299. We're gonna have a breakdown of it later on. We're here to talk about UC Vegas 88 Fight Night, Tuivasa versus Tybura. So this is that is the main event. Tai Tuivasa Marcin Tybura, ranked heavyweights. This fight was actually scheduled to be on 299. I believe somebody got injured or 299 was too stacked and made it its own card.
Yeah, I think they just moved it.
I think it deserved the spotlight, the shine. Mm-hmm. However, this is an Apex card again, so it's a shame that Tuivasa has to fight in Apex, because if he does win, that Chewy, there's gonna be like 6 people watching him do it, right? Is he gonna take Dana's shoe, or John Anix, whoever's broadcasting?
That'd be cool.
Tai. It would be cool, but Tai is an arena fighter. Do you agree?
I 100% agree. Tai Tuivasa should be in an arena that can really appreciate the energy he brings to his fights.
Especially going right into it, actually. So especially he's coming off a 3-fight losing streak right now.
Yeah.
He lost to Volkov, he lost to Gon, and he lost to Pavlovich.
Yeah.
So obviously those are 3 top heavyweights. They're ranked in the top 5. Pavlovich just fought for the interim belt, lost to Aspinall. Gon's always up there, just lost to Jones. For the belt. Has he fought since?
Who? Gon?
Gon.
He beat Sergey Spivak.
In France, right?
Yes.
And then Volkov, as of late, has been looking amazing. He's always been in the top 5, top 10 of the heavyweight division. What are your thoughts on this fight? How you see Tybura matching up with Tuivasa?
It's a weird fight for sure. I can't lie. It's not a bad fight. It makes sense because, Tuivasa, as we mentioned, 3-fight losing streak, kind of needs a, step down in competition, a little bit of a step back. And this is a good fight for that. I mean, Aspinall KO'd Tybura in his last fight, so he's coming off a loss. He needs a win. These guys are both ranked around the same in the heavyweight division. Tuivasa's a bit higher, but I think it's a pretty good fight. It's an interesting stylistic matchup. We know that Tuivasa doesn't usually do well with grapplers, and Tybura is a grappler, but Tybura doesn't do that good with power punchers, and Ty's a power puncher. So it's definitely interesting. I feel like it's gonna go one way heavily. I feel like one guy is probably gonna make the other guy look bad, make it look easy, kind of. I don't know if we get much of a back and forth fight here. I feel like it's going to be a dominant win for one of these guys, and it's a pretty good matchup for sure.
So Tuivasa ranked 9 and Tybura ranked 10, so pretty close in the rankings. Top 10 fight. Tybura is actually not on a terrible streak right now. Obviously, he lost to Aspinall's last fight. Before that, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 wins in his past 9 fights, and you could argue against like if the wins are against tough people, like he won against Spivak. He beat Ben Rothwell, Greg Hardy, Walt Harris. Then he lost to Volkov, as we know him.
Yeah.
He stopped the hype train of Alexander Romanov. He was somebody that was big on big grappler guy in the heavyweight division. Beat another grappler in Ivanov. That main event with Aspinall back in England, and he couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of agree with you. It's this fight will either go one way. Either Tuivasa knocks him out early, or finds a spot, finds a shot, or Tybura will just lay and pray on Tuivasa. All I hope is we don't have this another main event heavyweight type thing where we had Rosenstruik and Gaziev 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Because that was Gaziev gassed out and couldn't see and basically quit in a way, but you had to stop it. What he told his coach couldn't see, you had to stop it. And then Rosenstruik, for this big, powerful dude, couldn't finish him. I really hope this is not the same type of fight, because then we'll see just two 265-pound men throw jabs at each other, gas out
in round 4.
Yeah, and it's like after the hype of 299, what happened? You don't want to see this right after.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a tough main event, pretty tough card to follow up such a massive event that 291 was. 299 was. I mean, it was obviously one of the bigger events it was the biggest event of the year so far, but it's been one of the bigger events of like the past year, like 12 months, like calendar year. Like it was a big event with a lot of big names, and I thought it lived up to the hype. So to follow that up with a fight night heavyweight main event, which we've all talked about, we all know the heavyweight main events at the Apex. I mean, I just hope, I hope we get a fun one here. Hope we get, a finish here, basically.
I hope we see what happened with Curtis Blades versus Derek Lewis in the Apex. Right. You saw Lewis going for the uppercut, which is his one and only move, trying to stop the takedowns in a way.
Yep.
And it worked out in the second round and ended quickly. So usually you see main events at the Apex, heavyweights main events in the Apex are hit or miss. So hopefully this one's a hit and not a miss, like we've seen so many, right?
Yep.
What's your official prediction?
I'm gonna have to. Oh God, it's so tough because, like we said, it's just gonna go one way or the other, and I really lean 50-50 on which way it ends up going. I think right now I probably say that Tybura avoids the big shot and then finds a later finish, maybe like round 3, round 4, once Ty's a bit gassed, easier to take down and easier to submit, because we know Tuivasa has the problems with grappling. But I'm not confident on that, and I may change my pick by the time the fight comes. It's either going to be Tuivasa by KO.
No. Whatever you say right now, it's locked in forever. You can't change it.
All right, I'll go with Tybura sub in round 3 for now. I'll say that.
Okay. Well, I'm going Tuivasa round 2 KO.
I would definitely prefer that outcome.
And then he gets a call to co-main or be on the card in that Australia card that's rumored to happen. I think it's going to be a good bounce back victory for him. I think it's what he needed. Go a bit down in the rankings. Tybura's not a big, huge name. He's ranked a bit lower. Coming off a loss, 3 losses, get the confidence back. And in Apex, it sucks he doesn't get the energy of the crowd, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, it always sucks when, you have guys like Tuivasa on these Apex cards that just there's going to be no crowd. It's going to be dead. I mean, hey, if he gets a big knockout, I guess the good part is we'll be able to hear the shot loud and clear.
That's true. That is very true. I would like to hear that. That's the only good part I would say about the Apex.
Yep.
We kind of skipped over it. We kind of talked about it a little bit too. what do each fighter have to do to win this fight? We always said avoid a knockout, avoid getting taken down.
Mm-hmm.
Is there more to it, or just simple as that?
I really think it's as simple as that. I mean, we know once Tuivasa gets put on his back, he's basically useless. He doesn't get up very well. I mean, he's a guy that thrives in the stand-up, and he doesn't have the best wrestling defense. So I think it's just as simple as him for keeping this fight on the feet and finding that chin of Tybura, which a lot of guys have been able to find so far. It's not like it's this mythical thing that's never happened. And for Tybura, like I said, just gotta get this fight to the ground and not play around too much on the feet and let Ty land that big shot. Just gotta get it down quick, get it down early, wear on him, get him tired so that by the second, third round, he'll be gassed, and then he could potentially maybe find a finish on the ground once Tuivasa's not there as much.
As long as he doesn't gas himself out first as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, moving on to the co-main event, we have tough alumni Brian Battle facing off against Ange Lusa. I said it correctly.
Ange.
Okay, the Swiss guy. Ange Lusa. None of them are ranked. Brian Battle, I feel like he's close to being ranked if he's not already. Let me just check the welterweight rankings.
No, he's not. He's not yet.
He's not, but I feel like it's pretty close, and he could definitely take a spot like someone's spot like Michael Chiesa, who hasn't fought since losing to Kevin Holland.
Yeah,
back in I don't remember when.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm high on Brian Battle. I think he did well since coming into the UFC. You know, he had the rivalry with Gore coming out of the Tough House. He settled that rivalry. Had a beautiful head kick knockout in the apex against Sato.
Yeah.
Unfortunately lost to Rinat Fadretikov, who's like mostly
he stepped into that fight on short notice too. That's like a ridiculously tough matchup to jump into on short notice, and it was just a horrible like stylistic matchup for him. So didn't drop his stock too much for me, but it just kind of showed where Brian Battle's at in his career. He still was only 9 fights into his career at that point.
And it was one of his 2 decisions wins. However, he's mostly a finisher.
Yeah.
A lot of submissions, but lately, since he's been in the UFC, a lot of finishes.
Yeah.
Tell us about Ange Lusa.
So Lusa is very it's very gritty. I don't know. He's very tough. Like he's kind of just gonna walk through your shots and throw his shots back. And if you can't take his shots, he'll probably put your lights out. I mean, he's a tough guy for sure. I know last fight he beat up Reach McKee pretty bad from what I remember. I don't remember it being too close of a fight. I think he kind of just took care of business and I think he took McKee down a couple times. I think he dropped him once. Kind of just very, very well-rounded performance, I'd say. And then before that, he beat AJ Fletcher. AJ Fletcher's no longer in the UFC, so it may not be the best win, but it was an impressive performance from him, I thought. And he has the loss to Munir Lazez. That was a pretty boring fight from what I remember. I think Lazez kind of just took him down, just laid on him a bit. But what his real highlight was the Jack Della Maddalena Contender Series fight.
I was waiting for you to mention that.
That was the real highlight. Even though he lost a clear decision, I mean, he what I said he is like, that's what that fight was like. Just 8 Jack Della Maddalena shots.
The body shots too.
Kept moving forward and just threw his own. And Lusa is very, very tough. He's a tough matchup for a lot of guys just because of that simply. He doesn't have like the best striking. He doesn't have the best grappling. He's just well-rounded, and his heart is really what kind of puts him over the edge in terms of being a solid fighter in the promotion. The part that's tough with this fight is I feel like he's a really bad stylistic matchup for Brian Battle. Despite me thinking that Brian Battle has a higher potential and more tools than Lusa does, I think he's just a really hard stylistic matchup for Battle. I don't think Battle's going to get him down easily. I don't think he's going to KO him. And I don't know. It makes me kind of think that Lusa might have a pretty good chance in this fight, but the odds makers are respecting that because Lusa is just 2-1 in the promotion. I think Battle's like 5-1, and Lusa's only a plus 120 underdog. So they're giving him his respect on the books for sure because he's not like a very big underdog by any means. They almost have this fight even.
I'm actually going the opposite with you. I think how the fight went with Laziz, and Jack Della Maddalena kind of. I think he's going to eat a lot of shots. He's going to get taken down. I don't think he's going to have any answers for Brian Battle.
Okay.
I think like what we saw at 299, there's levels to everything. I think there's a level between Brian Battle and Lusa. I think Battle is also battle tested, and he's seen a lot of fighters now in the UFC, whether they're good or not. And I know he's on the cusp of the rankings. I just feel it. So it might be a good extra motivation for Battle to win this fight to get that ranking fight next, and it could be easily be in front of a on a pay-per-view or once they travel somewhere. Because when did he knock out Gabe Green? Was it in his hometown?
Yes, that was in Carolina. That was the Jelton
Yeah.
versus Rosenstrike card. Yes,
I
yes, it was.
believe so. So I think he's close to it. He has some highlight reels, some performance of the nights. He knows what he needs to do. He feels he was on the cusp of the rankings. So I think he's gonna take away Lusa, who hasn't proven anything yet.
Yeah.
He just proved that he's a tough guy, good durability. But I don't think he has proven what Brian has proven so far in the UFC.
Yeah, that's more than fair to say. Brian Battle's not a bad pick here by any means, and he very well could dominate this fight. I just think it's a bad stylistic matchup for him, and it's something to keep notice of. Is just there's like a size difference here, and not in terms of height. I'm pretty sure Battle's like decently taller. I mean, just in terms of
6'1".
like mass. Like Lusa's a lot bigger of a guy than Brian Battle is. So that's one of my concerns here is just the physicality of Ange Lusa.
Yeah, well, Lusa's more short. He's 2 inches, 3 inches shorter. He's more stackier, right?
Yes,
He
a
does
lot
look
more.
like he's built from a factory. That's for sure.
Yeah.
He's 5'10" versus 6'1", and Lusa, he's shorter and has a less of a arms reach advantage as well. So 77 for Battle versus 74. So he really needs to probably blitz, go in, and
get in that pocket and
hunt.
just go for the big shots. Yeah, for sure. I definitely agree. I mean, he does have a couple knockouts on his record, but the last one he had was in 2016. So I'm not gonna sit here and try to act like he's a knockout artist, even though half of his wins are by knockout. It's just, he's just a tough guy for sure. I mean, he hasn't knocked out anyone crazy good, I guess you can say. So,
But you never know. This is also MMA. But like I said, there's levels. This is the UFC. Is your sixth fight versus third fight? You lost to somebody who JDM, who is already ranked cusp of top 5, and to me just shows you're a step behind.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to go with your official prediction?
I have Battle by decision, despite what I said about, Lusa being a tough matchup and everything. I still think Battle's going to find a way. I think he's one of those guys that's very smart in the cage, very smart guy in general. And I think that guys like him are going to find a way to win, even in fights that are very tough for them stylistically, very tough for them just in the fight in general. I think it's going to be a tough fight. I think Lusa's just going to, keep coming forward no matter what and kind of just keep putting that pressure on. But I think Battle's going to find a way to win and just, squeak out a decision in this one.
I totally agree with doing what's necessary to win. I feel like this won't be, we won't go crazy over this fight, like thinking it's a whole war, but I think Brian will pick his shots in the first 2 rounds, and the third round we'll probably see him get a takedown just to secure that win at the end. That's how I see this fight going. So
okay,
I'm also going Battle by decision.
All right.
Okay, so in the fight right before that, we have a light heavyweight bout. Grizzled vet Ovince Saint-Preux. Is that for Saint-Preux fighting?
Yeah, it is.
Versus Kennedy. Do you want to say his last name?
Nzechukwu?
Nzechukwu. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Nzechukwu versus Ovince Saint-Preux. I mean, are they just trying to make Ovince Saint-Preux retire?
I guess. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? It's not like Kennedy's a world beater or anything, right?
Right.
but he was on the cusp of being ranked, and he still kind of is. He's not very far off from a ranking here.
Correct.
OSP got knocked out by Felipe Lins in what, his last fight? Yeah, in his last fight, in 50 seconds, nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
I am a big Felipe Lins guy, actually, but he is not close to the. I mean, I guess he's on a 4-fight win streak. He's could be close to a ranking, but I don't think he's a top 15 fighter. And the fact that Kennedy, has an argument for it and is kind of just right there and has been right there for a bit. He doesn't have the most power, so I don't think he's going to sleep him the way Lins did. But I don't know. How is OSP going to win this fight at this point in his career? There's not much of a path to victory for me, as it seems. I'd love to see him win because he'd probably retire off of a win. And, OSP's not a legend, but he's like a veteran of the sport. And
Yeah.
he's been around for a really long time, fought some of the best guys the light heavyweight division has had to offer. And even at heavyweight, he's fought a couple good guys. So I'd like to see OSP go out on a win. I just can't comfortably say I see a way that happens.
Yeah. OSP, I should have left the sport after his last win. If you remember, it was Maurice Rua. And I'm pretty sure I fell asleep
I
in
forgot
that
about
fight.
that fight.
Yeah, fell asleep. I'm pretty sure I woke up and that fight was still going on.
Yeah.
I remember the crowd booing. It was painful to watch. Even like the commentary team was like, "Hey, you gotta give it up to these two legends. Like, you gotta, hype." Like they're trying to hype him up or
show
something.
show some respect.
Show some
and,
respect, but
yeah.
like, come on. It was a tough fight, and
Yeah.
obviously getting knocked out by that. That's when you should have retired. I feel like you off for a win. You fought another legend because who retired, so
Yeah.
you have to go off with him. Both have your hands. Especially you were in a crowd, you were in an arena, so you had to retire.
Yep.
It did not look good versus Felipe Lins, and Lins, I can't even tell you his most memorable win. I can't even remember if he won this past weekend against Cotalaba. That's how bad. That not how bad, but like that's how much of a fighter I don't care about. Like he just there to have for a body to have somebody
that has to be his marquee win, by the way, just to confirm your belief that
Yeah.
he doesn't really have one. Like that is his marquee win, is the win over OSP.
Well, he did win against Cotalaba, Philippines. But like he started at heavyweight, he moved down to light heavyweight, so you can't really attach yourself to that win.
Mm-hmm.
So back to this fight, OSP versus say his last name again.
Kennedy and Zechuku.
Nzechuku. Yeah, it's hard to pronounce.
Yeah.
I think they're trying to give him a layup because of he had really good performances before Jacoby, which was his last fight. He lost in the first round, but Jacoby was on another level that night. He's coming off momentum, but he looked really good versus Devin Clark, Kutalaba, and Carl Robertson. And I think he also knocked out Carlos Alberg.
Yes, it was a while ago.
Yeah, Alberg was like his first fight in UFC. There was so much hype behind him. Training with City Kickboxing in New Zealand with Hooker and Adesanya.
Yeah,
and he knocks him out in the first round, which is like I was in shock. And he had to roll on that kind of momentum. He lost to the backpack to Dayun. Was it the backpack? No, it's not the backpack. Dayun Young.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what his nickname is.
Either way, he had 2 losing streak, 3-fight win streak. So he just get a momentum going. I think St. Pru's a layup and get somebody low in the rankings. He could be chasing his last loss. There's some good fights he could have there. Ryan Spann, Alonzo Menafield, like those are big guys, big hitters that could potentially be a future matchup. But I guess we could just go straight to predictions because I feel like
not much else to say. Yeah,
not much else to say. Like it's just I feel bad for OSP now at this point.
I mean, my prediction will have to be Kennedy KO. I'm going to say second round. Let's say they chill a bit for the first round, maybe a bit of a slow start, maybe whatever. But yeah, I got to say Kennedy just takes him out. here by KO.
This fight is not going more than 30 seconds. I promise you that. I like the OSP too. It's hard for me to say that.
I can't say it's the most shocking thing. I mean, OSP got knocked out by Felipe Lins in 50 seconds, so not the craziest thing in the world to say that he would lose even quicker to, Kennedy.
And that fight versus Felipe Lins was a year and a month ago now. So maybe he kind of like recovered. But I mean, at your age, OSP is now 40 years old.
He has two fights since the start of 2022. I mean,
yeah, he's been through war. He fought like all the best: John Jones, Ben Rothwell, Dominic Reyes, Volkan Ozdemir, Jimmy Manuwa, just to name a few. But he has some mileage on him.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not make this podcast a downer. Let's keep going down.
Let's go with some hype here.
So this should be a good fight. We have Christian Rodriguez versus Isaac Dogurian. Little bantamweight fight. If you guys remember, Christian Rodriguez stopped the hype train of Raul Russell Jr.
and Cameron Saman.
True. And Saman had a lot of high hopes on him.
Yeah.
He seemed like he's going to be a world beater in bantamweight. But that just talks to how stacked the division is.
Yeah.
10-1 versus 6-0. How do you feel like this fight has to play out?
I mean, great matchmaking, I have to say. I mean, C-Rod needed to move up to 145 after missing weight in both the Rosas and Saman fight, which I think the UFC is not trying to do him many favors because he took out two of their better prospects at 135 on weight misses. So I think the UFC is a little bit upset with him, and they're giving him another very tough prospect, very tough matchup. It's going to be interesting to see because if I'm not wrong, C-Rod had his first UFC fight at 145 pounds. He did against Jonathan Pierce, and Jonathan Pierce kind of beat him up a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see his return to 145 and how he kind of fares at this weight class. Dulgarian was part of that whole Nelk signing controversy where they didn't actually sign him, but he was supposed to get signed, and not really sure what went on there, but Dulgarian got a big win over Francis Marshall back in August. So very, very impressive performance he had against Francis Marshall, who was another pretty bright prospect. And he hits hard. I mean, from what I've been told, I've talked to some guys that he's trained with before, and they speak of Dulgarian as like the truth, like as the next big thing. They're very high on Dulgarian, and I'm not saying like training partners from his gym. I'm just saying guys he's trained with before. So these are guys that really don't have a reason to be as hyped about him as they are unless they really saw something special in him. And that's what I've been told is that people think there's something special with Dulgarian. So I'm really interested to see how he's able to handle C-Rod. I think C-Rod's probably going to try to wrestle a bit here and mix up the striking and the wrestling, trying to zap that power that Dulgarian has early because if I'm not mistaken, all 6 of Dulgarian's wins come in the first round. Yes, they all come in the first round. So he's never been past 5 minutes in a fight. His longest fight was his last fight against Francis Marshall. Almost went to the end of the first round, but he finished him right before that. And I mean, there's just a lot of question marks with this fight. How is C-Rod going to look in his move back up to 145? How is Dulgarian going to look if this fight goes past 5 minutes? Is Dulgarian going to be able to knock C-Rod out in those first 5 minutes? It's a very fun fight though. I'll have to say, like, it's a very well matched,
intriguing,
very intriguing fight.
Yeah.
A lot of questions surrounding this fight that I'm really looking forward to see if they're answered. I think this may end up being a fight of the night kind of fight where we could see, Dulgarian potentially win the first round and almost finish Rodriguez, but then Rodriguez comes back and wins the next 2, and something along those lines. I think we could be seeing here.
Just to bring up to your point, you said that Dulgarian, all of his wins didn't go past the first round. This guy has no losses.
Yeah.
So it's all of his fights.
All of his fights,
past the first round. 100% finishing rate, 4 knockouts, 2 submissions. 27 years old. However, Christian Rodriguez is also, he's 26.
Yeah.
I was thinking that the reason Rodriguez he moved up He does want to move up to featherweight.
Mhm.
It could be lack of discipline with his diet just to make that 135. But he is a short guy and he's very
Yeah,
skinny, right? He's 5'7", although Bulgarian is also
shorter guy.
he's 5'7" as well. They have
Oh,
the
okay.
same exact height, same exact reach.
Oh, okay.
However, Rodriguez does seem a bit skinnier.
Hmm.
I think just the lack of discipline, he can't make bantamweight.
Okay.
And usually featherweights are a bit taller, right?
Yeah.
For like to me, the shortest featherweight is Josh Emmett, but Josh Emmett is like what 5'8".
Yeah, yeah. They're usually decent sized though,
Yeah,
featherweights. I
if you
get
think
what you
about
mean.
right, so or like Volkanovski's 5'6", but
Mm.
they all just seem bigger
Yeah,
than Rodriguez.
Like Holloway and like
Yeah.
guys that have
Oh,
that kind of build.
well, Holloway's too tall for the division. That's like 5'11". That's crazy. It's like O'Malley being 5'10" at bantamweight.
I mean,
But
who's the one I'm thinking of? Sean Woodson. Sean Woodson is
Sean Watson's
massive.
6 feet
Yep.
and used to fight at heavyweight.
6'2", Sean
Six
Woodson.
two,
6'2", Sean Woodson, and he's a featherweight. So
with 0% body fat.
there
Yeah.
are definitely some very big featherweights out there for sure.
Yeah. So I think good matchup stylistically. See knockout artists, finisher artists versus Rodriguez, who's has a lot of decisions, but he
Very
likes to
well
control.
rounded.
Very well rounded. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
meant. He's very well rounded. So let's see how Rodriguez deals with the power coming
Mhm.
towards him, because UFC hasn't faced somebody with power so far. I believe,
Yeah,
like
not with this much power from what
yeah,
I can tell.
not from the like Bulgarian power.
Yeah.
So and Bulgarian's been fought in a while too.
Hmm.
His last fight was Francis Marshall, so I don't know if he was dealing with injuries, but I'm pretty sure he's hungry to get back to the octagon. 27, he needs to put on a showcase to be like, hey, don't forget about me
Yeah.
back in the featherweight division, because featherweight division is a bit lacking, I would say. I know the top
A
in the
little bit.
rankings, but you need somebody to move up there.
Hmm.
There's no clear contender right now, especially with a rematch potential trilogy. Max moving up,
Hmm.
nobody has a clear winning streak like Ortega loses one, wins one. You could definitely climb up the rankings. The only one that comes to mind is actually Ivlev. He's the only one on the winning streak,
Yeah.
but there's nobody behind him. So you can definitely climb the rankings featherweight division pretty quickly, especially if you keep having first round finishes.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The featherweight division is open for a lot of prospects to come and really make some statements here and just get their names in the division more, I guess you could say, because
Right.
yeah, it's just it's lacking a bit in prospects right now. I know we got like Diego Lopez coming up and whatever, but
And
there's not many.
look how quickly he's in there. He's fighting Sadiq Youssef,
Yep.
who's ranked number 13.
Mm-hmm.
Lopez lost his first fight against Ivlev, but
Yep.
his stock rose up, got two
Mm-hmm.
finishes in a row, and now he's fighting a ranked opponent. So if
Yep.
you get those finishes, the UFC will reward you, especially being so young and have finishes on your record. If as long as you look good, the featherweight division will be available for you to climb up.
Yeah. I completely agree. You have a perfect read on the featherweight division. I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of solid guys in it, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I mean, it does feel pretty open. I mean, there isn't that many guys like pushing towards a spot in the rankings, and I feel like either guy winning this fight could potentially do that for them.
Right. I can't name you like someone on top of my head was like a good prospect who's about to enter it. But like you have people like Ron Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually ranked 13. Danny Ige has been ranked for like the past 10 years.
I want to say Joe Anderson Brito. He's another
Yeah.
one that's been
Yeah.
picking up some big wins and has gotten his name up there. Yeah, he's on a 4-fight win streak now, all 4 finishes. I mean, beating some good guys, Andre Feely, Jonathan Pierce in his last fight. So he's another guy. He has a fight coming up against Jack Shore of all people, who's moving up from bantamweight. So
Yeah, and I like
big
Jack
one.
Shore bantamweight just because he had one loss.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe you're trying to change things up, but if Jack Shore moves up to
I think so.
featherweight, it's one loss against Ricky Simone, and everybody has to lose to Ricky Simone at least once,
Mm-hmm.
then to be ranked. Talk to Marab, but I think it's good for the featherweight division for a
Yeah.
guy, like Bulgarian. Rodriguez, won't be like a sexy name. It won't be exciting to too many people, but you'll know him. You know him as the guy who beat uh um
Rosas.
Rosas Jr.
Yeah.
and Cameron Simon.
Yep.
So you think he's gonna continue with the momentum? Going to predictions.
I'm gonna lean that like what I said before, where it's gonna be a close fight of the night kind of fight, and Rodriguez ends up finding out how to win in rounds 2 and 3 when Bulgarian gets tired. I want to say decision. We could see a late finish here though, because like we said, never seen Bulgarian past 5 minutes. What does he look like in the 12th, 13th minute of the fight? So we could very well see Rodriguez finish him, but I'm going to lean that Bulgarian is just a tough guy, and I'm going to say Rodriguez gets a decision here.
Oh, okay. That was my second choice because I feel like Rodriguez might like. Well, here we go again. I'm gonna stop this hype train. But I will go Bulgarian continuous streak. First round submission this time.
Ooh,
I think
okay.
Rodriguez is gonna take him down, but Bulgarian's be like, "Ha, that's what I wanted you to do."
Ha, you don't know about this jujitsu.
Yeah, maybe pull up the gilly that Dustin wanted so badly.
Oh.
Okay. So big featherweight fight.
Yep.
Right before the mandatory women fight for the UFC.
Yep.
We have Pani Kianzad versus Miesha Chiasson. Bantamweight fight. Yeah, Chiasson is actually ranked at 10th. So I think it's just to, and Panny's at ranked number 6. So I think it's to make movement in this bantamweight division that is not moving at all.
To do something, all right, for sure. I mean, it's a rematch from the Ultimate Fighter finale, so that's always cool, I guess.
Yeah, but after so many years, I think it's just to have some movement in bantamweight division.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because clearly it's like Juliana Pena, that fight, or depending what Holly Holm versus
Kayla Harrison
happens at UC 300.
Yeah.
So yeah, so their first fight, what happened in their first fight? Let me remember.
Kiasin by sub second round.
Yep. Second round, that was a season finale, and then nobody got really much of a momentum going. Panny had like a 4-fight win streak.
Yep.
And then dropping to Pennington. And Pennington obviously was on a 3-fight win streak to get to the title. Her last fight, she lost to Clayton Vieira, who I believe is better than Chiasson. So I don't know. How do you see this fight going on? Do you see how do you see this fight play on? Exactly how the first fight, or is it like Apex type fight?
It's tough because after so much time, you really don't know. It's been what, 6 years nearly since their first fight. So I don't want to say it's going to be the same, but I do see it kind of being similar. I hate to predict another decision, but I think it probably goes to that. I think we probably see it go 15 minutes. I like Macy. I think she's really good actually, and I think she still has some decent potential. I mean, she was 2 minutes away from beating Irene Aldana, if you ask me, and then Aldana threw the up kick to the liver that knocked her out in one of the more bizarre knockouts you'll see. I mean,
it's perfectly placed, I would say.
Oh yeah, perfectly placed
like,
for sure.
Obviously, it was a bit to do with luck. Like she just threw it out there not to get grounded, pounded, but she knew what she was doing in a way.
Oh,
like
definitely.
She wanted to hurt her and caught her right in the liver.
And Macy has a similar loss to
Raquel.
Yep, exactly. So, she's lost to Raquel, she's lost to Aldana. I mean, she had that loss to Lena Landsberg earlier on, but that was like her 5th UFC fight. I will say it's weird because Macy's UFC wins don't seem as impressive, but I feel like her losses are more impressive in a sense because like Aldana, like she almost beat. I think she gave a fairly okay fight to Pennington before getting subbed too. And Penny's lost to Pennington as well. She's lost to Ketlin Vieira, so two girls that are right around that level. Then she's had like losses to like Julia Vila and then the loss to Macy. So I don't know. I just kind of, as weird as it sounds, I rate Macy's losses better than I rate Panny's. And since Macy already has the win over Panny, I think I have to favor her here.
So that's your decision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I have to go with Macy by decision in this fight. Shout out Pat McCory, by the way, the new Macy Kiasin.
I'm also going with Macy by decision here.
Mm,
I just want to ask you, Patty's ranked at 6, Macy's ranked at 10. Anybody
really?
wins? Yeah. Does anybody wins and if like let's say Penny wins, is she next for a title shot or she needs one more win? Or any of these ladies need one more win for a title shot?
They both would need another win, maybe even two, honestly. I did not realize that Penny was ranked that high, to be honest with you. I I don't know if I agree, to be honest. I don't know why she's ranked as high as she is now that you pointed out. I mean, who is she beating? Lena Landsberg, Alexis Davis, Sajari Eubanks, Beth Correa. None of these girls are near the rankings.
Nope.
So I don't know how she ended up at 6, but I guess that also just speaks to the women's bantamweight division. But looking at the rankings now, I mean, I feel like she should be ranked under a bunch of these girls, including Macy, honestly, still. But who knows? Maybe I'm crazy.
No, I think you're right up there.
Yeah.
Um, well, like I said, I feel like it's just like this one mandatory women's fight. It has to be in UFC. They're ranked bantamweights, and they're opening up. Never mind. They're right after the opening up of the main event,
Okay.
main card. So I don't know. Dana's doing like a favor just to get some movements in the bantamweight with everything that's happening. Get Juliana Pena talking again. So maybe.
Let's not do that, please.
Okay. Well, then let's move on. I think we have a fun little fight here, a middleweight. Jared Mercerot versus Brian Barberina. Barberina, I know him over welterweight, but I guess he's moving up for his fun fight. Just get a paycheck. They both love definitely stand and bang.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's gonna shy away from that. And Gerald has amazing submission, jiu-jitsu game. Fun little fight to start the card, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think we'll see some good action in this fight, to be honest. I think it'll be a fun one. Two guys been in the UFC for a while. This will be Gerald's 20th UFC fight and Barberina's 19th UFC fight. So both of them right around the same amount of fights in the promotion, both basically 500 records. I mean,
Yeah.
Barberina's 9-9, Gerald's 10-9. So both very similar UFC careers, I'd say. Obviously, completely different fighters, but I feel like their careers in the promotion have been fairly similar. I think Barberina probably has a couple more marquee wins, the Robbie Lawler win, the Matt Brown win, just some bigger
An
names.
older and older Lawler, though.
Exactly. So just, I don't know. I will say, though, they do share a common opponent, Mahmoud Muradov. Mahmoud beat Barberena in his middleweight debut last year by decision, and Gerald was actually the
Beat
one
him.
that beat him. So by submission. So I think that could be a sign here of how strong Mearshart's grappling is compared to Barberina's. I do not think Barberina's a good grappler, very
No.
much so.
We saw what RDA,
Yeah,
a lightweight RDA did to Barberina.
exactly. So I I think the grappler should win here, but at the same time, Gerald didn't grapple too much in his last fight with Petrosky, and he almost won, actually. His striking looked pretty good.
That was a good. Actually, that was not a bad fight. I remember.
No, and he beat Bruno Silva, and he dropped Bruno. So I mean, he basically knocked Bruno Silva out and submitted him in the same
Yeah.
fight. If you want my honesty, he looked great in the striking. So his striking has looked better. So there's a chance that he decides to bang for a little bit with Barberina, and it could go wrong for him for sure.
Well, it definitely depends what kind of Mershot we'll get. However, the two you're talking about, Petrovsky, two fights against Petrovsky and Silva, there's one big difference, and I keep bringing it up. It was in an arena. The crowd energy, it brings out a different Gerald. So
I like
obviously,
that.
yeah. I think it's a different energy. And then if my more memorable of Gerald, if you think about it in the Apex, gets knocked out by Pfeiffer, gets
Mhm.
knocked out by Hamzat.
Well, Pfeiffer was actually in an arena.
My bad. Yes, that's true. That's
Mhm.
true. That's Pfeiffer's. Well, then gets knocked out by Hamzat.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm mixing up with somebody else. Could be Christoph Jotko.
Okay. He did
Doesn't
fight
matter.
Jotko.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I think the crowd, the energy crowd, is different for both these guys. I
Mhm.
think Barberina also likes to fight in front of the crowd more, like especially when he was um in England. I think his wife's from there. He used to live there, and he brought the crowd. He loves the energy of the crowd. It really depends what kind of fighters we get to see that night. I
Yeah.
hope we see a stand and bang, and then hopefully, Gerald gets what he does best is hurt the guy and then try to submit him
Mhm.
into the fight.
Yeah, no, I think we should see a fairly fun fight. Could be boring, but Barberina isn't in many boring fights, and I feel like Gerald really isn't either. I mean, they both know how to put on a show, I'd say.
Depends the opponent, right? Like so, RDA Barberina
Yeah.
wasn't the most entertaining fight, but just because RDA, he's there for business. He's there like I'm going to get in there and win. I'm going to get your back, push you to the cage, and try to finish you eventually.
Yeah, and he did that quick with Barberina.
Yeah, and then did Barberina get submitted by
Yes.
RDA?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
It was
So it
an
was
arm triangle from that. Oh no, rear naked. Rear
Ray
naked choke.
Naked over the Prime logo, right?
Yes.
Oh
Yes, I
yes,
think so.
that's what I was trying to remember. Yeah, but they're both on losing streaks too, so it
Mm-hmm.
just gives a little extra motivation. Just okay, at least somebody will have a losing streak to end. Gerald's on 2-fight losing streak. Marina's on a 3-fight losing streak. Although before that, they were both on 3-fight winning streaks. So it's very streaky guys, like you
Both very
said,
streaky guys. Yes.
very 500 record. Both of
Mm-hmm.
them. You win 3, you lose 3. You win 1, you lose 2. You win 3. So
You're
that's
100%
kind of how
right.
the record goes. It's more like a fun fight.
Yeah.
These are fighters you have to put like on a fun fight. Somebody maybe like a little kind of low tier prospect just to get
Mm-hmm.
a name on the record, or bring out a dog out of somebody so
Yeah.
you could see them how they truly fight under pressure.
Yeah, I agree.
How do you see this fight going?
You know, we were just talking about it a bit. He doesn't get submitted often. I mean, Barberina's lost 11 fights and only, what, 3 are by submission? But 2 of those 3 are in his last 3 losses, last 3 fights. So Gerald has a great submission game. We know that for sure. I mean, but basically all of his wins are by finish and 27 submissions. I mean, he's obviously got very, very good jujitsu. So, Gerald's chin has looked a bit bad in his last couple, but I think I have to say that he'll find a way to get the submission here. But I want to say that we see Barberena survive for a bit and make it like a fun fight. I'm going to say a third round submission for Gerald would be my prediction. And I think he gets on the mic and calls out Bo Nickel.
Yeah, but Bo Nichols fighting at 300 on
Yeah,
the
no,
main card,
I
right?
just meant for like a fight in the future, like down the line.
Yeah, that's a good call out. I don't
Mhm.
think I was gonna take him serious. I think Bo Nichols looking for closer to the rankings. I would say.
He's fighting Cody Brundage though. Come on, Mearshart
Oh,
would be a better fight than that.
I don't think so. Brundage, you saw.
Really?
Brundage is he's on a I don't know how many fight winning streak, but he's all finishes too. He brings that level of dangerousness that is like a little unknown against Gerald. If I see Joe Pipe. If I see Bo Nickel, I'm like, well, Bo Nickel's gonna do whatever he wants to him in the first round.
Okay.
Not even past a minute. Good call out. You want to get that clout, but there's levels. I think Bo Nickel's on a different trajectory than Gerald.
Okay.
Both guys are also a little older in the age. 34 for Barberina, 36 for Mersharat. I'm so bad with names. Sorry, guys.
Mearshart.
Mersharat, yeah. Or French accent too. I speak 3 languages. You guys gotta give me a break.
Yeah, give him a break, guys.
Yeah. So I like the prediction. I think Gerald's definitely gonna win. I think we'll say guillotine. We'll say guillotine choke.
Ooh.
I think round 2.
Okay.
I think round 2 we'll get tired Barbarina. No, round 3. Round 3. I'm gonna go with you. I think round
Okay.
3. I see round 3. I think it's gonna be slugfest until round 3, and then you have to catch him and submit him just to end the fight.
Yeah.
I do hope you can.
Because Barbarina doesn't have power like that. He just has like
Yeah.
wars. He just has like these slugging like back and forth
It's
brawls.
volume. It's volume.
So
Right.
so that's the thing is like he definitely could knock Gerald out, but I don't know if he's gonna do what Hamzat did or what Pfeiffer did, or like I don't think he does that to him. So I think Gerald will be able to take those shots, have some fun in there, and then get him out of there later.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Um, we'll not talk about the prelims much. Just if you want to, any fight or fighter stands out to you that you want to mention to our viewers.
I'll mention a couple guys here.
Yeah.
First off, featured prelim. Why is it on the prelims? You tell me why, John, because I know the UFC won't, because it doesn't make any sense. Mike Davis, baby. All action Mike Davis. Natan Levy's a fun fighter, too. Why
Good
is this
matchup,
fight?
right?
Why great matchup? Why is this fight on the prelims? Why? Someone give me a damn good reason as to why this fight is on the prelims, because this is some main card apex action right here. Mike Davis is all action. I've been waiting for him to get back in the cage. He deserves, a matchup like Levy, a solid matchup, a guy that's going to go in there and
Go
swing
forward.
hands with
He
him.
won't. He won't stop
Yeah,
attacking. Davis
yeah.
likes to attack as well. This is a really good matchup.
Amazing
Am,
matchup.
am I crazy, or do their faces kind of look like each other's?
You know,
Like a
Mike,
little bit.
as weird as it sounds, Mike Davis looks like a couple guys. And I know
Okay.
it sounds weird, but Mike Davis looks like a couple different guys. And I don't know why. I don't know if he has just more of a generic kind of face.
So
But
I saw Nathan Levi posted on his Instagram like
Mhm.
he's fighting Davis. I was like, oh cool. And I saw
which one's which?
yeah. For a second, I'm like, I feel like it seems like he got a little bit of tan. But anyways, yeah, I like that fight. I'm
Mhm.
waiting for Davis to return as well. I like both these fighters. I think Levy's probably not the most skilled fighter, but he has a lot of heart and
Mhm.
he wants to go forward. He will do anything. He'll wrestle you, he'll grapple you, or he'll strike with you.
Yeah.
And he's gonna match your energy. And I think Davis is the matchmaking here is really good.
Yeah, I agree. I think Davis takes this fight, by the way. Just want to say that. But I do think that it's an amazing fight, and I think it will deliver. And if it's not C-Rod Dolgarian as fight of the night, I almost guarantee that this will be fight of the night. So like this one.
That's a Patty Dana White guarantee.
Listen to this, man. No, but I like O'Day Osborne versus Jafel Filo. Filo's the guy that nearly ripped Mohaev's knee into 8 pieces and got a big win in his last fight after getting dropped. He's shown a lot of heart. I've been excited for Filo ever since his win on the Contender Series, and he's brought the action in the UFC for sure. I'm definitely a guy that enjoys watching Jafel Filo, and O'Day Osborne's a tough outing for most guys. So I think it's definitely a fun fight. Also want to say Charalampos Grigory, Dana White Contender Series guy, pulled off a pretty big upset against Cameron Smotherman on the Contender Series. I know a lot of people slept on him going into that fight. He gets a pretty favorable matchup here against Chad Anheliger.
We'll say that the Canadian though.
I listen, I know, but it's just like it- I don't know how much easier it gets. You know what I mean? Like I'm not too high on Anheliger. His only UFC win is over Jesse Strader, and he is now out of the promotion and 7-3 in his career. So
Well, I think Chad's biggest weakness is the grappling. He gets admitted
yeah.
a lot. So as long as he worked on jiu-jitsu, and luckily Gregorius doesn't have any submissions on his wins.
Yeah, he
I
does
looked at
wrestle a bit though.
He doesn't submit, so he does
Yeah.
wrestle.
He does wrestle. He doesn't submit though.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's more of a ground and pound kind of guy. He's definitely a striker as well, but he kind of mixes it up. But he definitely has wrestling out of Law MMA. They're all wrestlers over there. So yeah. And last shout for a prelim fight, Josh Kulabau, Danny Silva. Danny Silva is getting a very, very tough test. One of the toughest tests you can get in your debut off the Contender Series. He had that amazing fight with Angel Pacheco where they kind of just both beat up each other, but Silva easily won the fight, but Pacheco walked forward like a zombie and just like ate everything. So
Just to mention, that's also a featherweight fight, so
okay,
more prospects to show. That's which we talked about earlier. We need to see more of that.
exactly. So yeah, I like Danny Silva a lot. I like this Contender Series fight. I don't know how he does against Culibao though. Culibao's a very, very tough
Mhm.
outing for everyone. He gave Lerone Murphy a tough fight last time out. Uh Beat Melsick, Sang Woo Choi, Nernan Beke, went to draw with Charles Jourdain. His only losses are to Lerone Murphy and a massive Jalen Turner up a weight class that he never should have been fighting Jalen Turner in. So, you
And
know.
Murphy's undefeated still, so it's doesn't bring down your stock.
No, no, not at all. So that's the thing here is just, you know, tough debut for Danny Silva, but I am interested to see how he fares. I'm interested to see what he does here.
I think Taylor would be mad at me if I don't mention Corey McKenna versus Jacqueline Amorin.
Mm-hmm. Good fight.
Yeah, that's a good fight. Low-key fight, strawweight, women's division. Corey McKenna is a Welsh.
Yeah.
I keep mentioning we're Combat Sports UK, so I don't know if Welsh is in that region. So you guys might be interested in it. She always fights in the England cards. Fun little fight there.
Yeah.
You actually talked about Mitch Ramirez before we got on.
Yeah.
You thought it was his hardest fight.
Oh yeah, by far.
Okay,
Definitely his hardest fight.
so test for him.
Yeah, very tough test. I mean, Carlos Prates was obviously a pretty tough fight too. Prates is good, but Moises is just a very grizzled veteran, been in the promotion for a while, has taken on who like Arman, Islam. Oh no, he didn't fight Arman. Fought Islam,
Islam,
fought Bobby Green,
BDS,
Nate Diaz,
Denis,
Benil Dariush. You know what I mean? Benoit Saint Denis. So Moises has kind of fought
everybody.
everyone. Like, you know what I mean? He's kind of just fought like the best of the best, and his losses are to legit guys.
True.
Demir Ismagulov, Benil Dariush, uh, Islam, Joel Alvarez, BSD, and then even outside of the UFC, his losses are to Jason Knight and Robert Watley, and Watley's the current CFFC champion at 155 pounds. So all of his losses are very, very good fighters. So he doesn't get knocked out easy. Mitch Ramirez has gotta pull a big knockout here, and I think he has to do it early, especially coming in on short notice.
Fair enough. Final thoughts on the card. Definitely not as exciting as we were of Rojan Triggers
Yeah.
Gaziev card because there's a lot of good prospects there and up and comers, and we did one fight where we predicted were really delivered. Oliveira versus Sopai,
Yep.
which is
That was an amazing fight.
knockout,
Give it yes,
knockout of
knockout
the
of the
year.
year. Give
Knockout of
us
the
a
year so
knockout of the
far.
year.
Yeah.
No question about it. No question
So
about it.
definitely not as good as that card, but that
Mhm.
card towards the main event dipped down, I would say.
Yeah, the prelims were great though on that card.
Prelims
That
are
card had
great,
one of the
yeah.
better prelims of the year so far for sure, if you ask me.
So let's see if this main card could change up the vibes of the Apex. Especially, let me see this real quickly. The week after, it is also in the Apex, I
Yes.
believe, which is Rose Namajunas versus Amanda Ribas.
And that's another
So
tough card, if I remember correctly. It's
yeah,
not the most exciting.
um, Cameron Saman's on the card. Billy Carantilo is on the card, but
Okay. Okay.
uh, again, has to live up. Has to be live and see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, um, so you guys can catch us on YouTube, Instagram, go combatsportsuk.co, I believe.
Yes.
YouTube Combat Sports UK. All of our podcasts, our shorts are there. You can catch this podcast. We are also catch the 299 breakdown. I bet me and Nathan had a lot to talk about. So if you guys want to tune in
Looking
and
forward to it.
recap O'Malley's dominant win, see if Nathan wears the pink shorts and pink wig. I don't know. We kind of bet on it. He said he would. Let's see if he's a man of his word. Hope he doesn't see this. But yeah, I'm John. That's Patty. See you guys.
Thank you for having me.